So we're just going to go through how to create a sessional course. And now these aren't too different. I always start off the same in terms of going ahead and checking my course template to see what it looks like. Our sessional courses are always going to be the same type of course occurring during multiple times of the day. So I would never create a sessional course when it comes to perhaps a client like Claremont. They'll always have potentially like a basic life support course from 9:30 until 12 o'clock, followed up by a simulation. So they'll do it one each quarter. So what you don't want to do though is turn one of those into a sessional course, because what it's going to do when we're trying to clean up the system, because you know how we always try and not see sessional courses because it's just a bunch of duplicate adult basic life supports typically, you would never be able to see what actual details you need, such as the equipment. So the type of equipment that you're going to need for an adult basic life support course is going to be a lot different than what you would need for a simulation. So only create sessional courses when it's the exact same type of activity that you're booking in. So essentially your course templates are all going to be the same. So if I've got multiple sessions that I want to do, you need to create sessional courses individually unless they're already mapped out into the course templates of the type of course that you're going to create. So a really good example is with BEH, when they'll book in multiples of adult basic life support courses. So you're looking at about 10 course days. But if you divide that into the 3 adult basic life support sessions that are going to pop in there for each day, you've now all of a sudden got 30 courses that you need to go and create. So what you do want to do is try and clean up as much as you can from the start so that you don't have to create all those individual courses. So we're going to go into course templates. And we're going to go straight to adult basic life support. And you can see that you've got your session 1, session 2, session 3. It's because everything's already going to be set up as a course template. But we want to look to see what's at the top of that. And then we can kind of filter out. If you think of sessional courses as like a branch of the head course, which will be your adult basic life support. Every single sessional course that's set up in the system will say session and then which number it is. So you'll really easily be able to identify them if you ever need to clean anything up in the system. So right now all we're gonna do right now is we're gonna think that we've got 10 adult basic life support courses that we need to book in. So I want to see, it's specific to BEH, so we kind of know already what their timings are based on historical bookings. So BEH courses typically run from 9 a.m. until 4:30. So adult basic life supports are going to have your adult basic life support session 1 from 9 till 11. You'll then have a 15-minute break. So your start times are 9 to 11. Then you've got 11:15 until 1:15, and then you've got quite a bit of a gap from 2:30, and then that's your third session, starting at 2:30 until 4 o'clock. So what we want to do is just map out that these are the exact amount of time that we want to have our courses scheduled in there for, because then what that's going to do is it's going to map out what each template looks like as soon as we start creating the courses. So what we want to do is have to amend as little as possible. I'm also just going to double check what the cost is. And yeah, so I want 475. When this says is course template sessional by default, what that means is that as soon as you create this course, like, you go into your courses calendar and you right click and you go into add a new course, it's automatically going to create the sessions for you. So when you're doing something like this, you definitely want that added in. If you were creating one adult basic life support course and no other activity, perhaps it's for like HCA events, you want to go into your course template to untick that box. If you left that ticked and then you started creating your courses, you would then have to go in and delete each sessional course because it would have already created it for you. So cut out as much time as you possibly can. So all we're going to do now is we're just going to map out our timings. So our session plan items are already here. So you can see this was probably amended for another client. So it says 9:30 till 12:30. You've got a second one at 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. So we're missing a third session in here. Our timings also aren't the same. So what we want to do is we want to edit this just so we can make sure that it's going to pull the times that we want for a BEH course. So I'm just going to highlight the 30 because we want it to start at 9 o'clock. And we'll change this end time to be 11. So we want to tick the boxes. Yes, this is mandatory. Yes, we want to clone the trainers. And yes, we want to clone the venue. What that means is that at your time of booking, it's going to pull all of those 3 things across with your sessional items. So everything's matched. So you don't have to manually input those in. And then you can see that it says, so we've changed this one. We just need to go in and change the second one now. So we'll do it this way. These boxes are still ticked. We'll go save. Now I need to create a third one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take another look at my session 2 just so that I replicate exactly what this looks like. So the one thing that I'm going to see is that, yes, okay, my mapped course template says Adult Basic Life Support session 2. Offset unit, it's showing nothing here, but because it's saying my offset type is none. So we're just going to be mindful of that because we'll see what that's going to mean then. Duration is showing 1, our start times, and then these boxes are ticked. So we're going to go and add another course. So we're just going to go through our list. And because it's adult, it's going to come up right at the beginning. So I'm just going to double tick that. Remember, offset unit didn't say anything. So we're going to have to change this to none. If you kept these values there, it's going to assume that you needed a mountain here. So it's going to, it'll highlight it in red because it thinks that you need something in here. But we're going to go and say none. Our duration, it doesn't give us the amounts. So I'm going to leave that as 1 because that's what the other course had said. And we're going to change this time to 14:30. And then we'll change this to 16:30. Oops. There we go. Override cost type. I wouldn't worry about this because we never attach cost to sessional courses because we only ever want the head session in there when we're invoicing it. And we're going to tick all these boxes to say clone. We're going to hit save. So now you can see that so we've got our 3 sessional courses here now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to details. And we're just going to click save just to make sure that our planned sessional courses are in there. The only other thing I'm going to think about is whether or not I've already got a trainer that I'm going to allocate these to. If I don't have a trainer that I'm going to allocate these to, I'm going to attach the resource here. Because what I don't want to have to do is manually enter this in 10 times for each course that I've just created in the system. So we just want it to pull through right away. So we can keep that as non-substantive instructor. We can leave everything else blank because we don't really have anything else to pull in there until it comes through, and we'll hit save. We'll go back to resource requirements. We'll go back to details. We'll hit save again. And then we're all good to go. I'm just going to make sure that that's saved. So then my resource requirement will pull through for each of them. Remember that you did it for a non-substantive instructor. So if you did have an instructor to put in there, you can't necessarily put their name in here. But if I knew that it was an employed instructor, I would change my resource type to employed, because then that way, as soon as I type in their name, it'll take it out right away when I'm creating the course. So we're going to go into calendar now. And I'm going to jump. I'm just going to go historic so this doesn't mess up anything. So we'll go into November and let's pick a quiet day. So let's go into here and we're going to right click here right at my 9 o'clock. So it starts at that time and we'll type in Adult Basic Life Support. Oh, see, I already know that I made an error here because it's not pulling through my time correctly. It's saying that that's 6.5. That's not too bad because all I have to do is go to that just to fix that. So let's go all the way down. We'll say that this is happening at the office, and the only reason being is just so that nobody gets Notifications. We'll update our dispatch just to say if we need equipment, because we're going to make this that it's happening at the offices. I'm going to say equipment held at venue and to be left at the venue. My cost is right. I'm going to go down. And yes, sessional courses. This is all fine then. So we're going to scroll all the way up. And then we're going to hit save. And we've got something in the office, so it's giving me this clash. So we're going to ignore that because this is just a test. And we'll go down. Do you see how my resource pulled here? So it's giving me that I need a non-substantive instructor. I'm going to go down to sessions and I'm going to see what's come across. So each of my sessions are already built in here and they're all automatically on the same day. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit save. And that's all your courses with all the sessions. So you didn't actually need to do anything manually because they were already there. If there was an error on any of these courses, let's say the timing didn't pull through properly, go ahead and amend it in this course, but then I would go back to my course template just to fix it so I don't have to fix it on each thing, like I had to do for my start time and end time. So what we are going to do, if you ever needed to amend any of these, you just need to come into here. You have to right click here. You can't right click on this one because that's not going to do anything for you. So if you take the link for the actual course and go to edit, it's going to take you to what you would normally see in a class's course details page. And then you can amend what you needed to here. I'm going to go back to this date though, because what I do want to see, if I wasn't able to amend it because perhaps I put in too many sessions and I actually needed to delete one of them, you can delete it from here rather than having to go to the courses class section. So let's say these guys actually canceled this session and they were only actually meant to have a 9 to 11 and an 11 till 1 o'clock. We're just going to go all the way to the right here and see this bit. And we're going to say delete. So we're going to delete the session and we're also going to delete the sessions and deleted courses. Now, if we were just to delete the sessions, all that's going to do is delete the session off of this course template. So you would actually still see the course in the calendar, but it's not going to be linked to this head course. So the only time you would ever really do that is if you incorrectly attached a session to a course. But that normally wouldn't really happen because what we would do just to make sure that we don't put any errors in the system is just delete the whole scheduled session. So we're going to say yes, we're going to say okay, and we're going to close that. And now you won't see that 2 o'clock session anymore because it's been canceled. The only thing you do need to be mindful of, and let's say you forgot to put in these courses, so you only had a head session and you didn't change it from your course template and none of these pulled through, you have to go into here to actually manually create them. And the one thing that you have to be very mindful of is that your sessional course will always pull through today's date. It will not pull through the date that your head session is. So we're going to go into the session maintenance. We just hit add. I'm going to hit select here. If you already had a course booked into the system that was meant to be attached to this course, this is where you're going to find it. So this is an already created course that you now want to attach to the session. A really quick way to find it is going to be by your date. So I was on the 14th of November, and let's say one of those courses that was already in there, I want to attach it to this. So I'm just going to pull through basically everything that's happening on the 14th. So I can now tie it into there. So these are the only two things that were happening on that date that I can tie in. None of my other courses are going to come up because they're already attached to this course. So the only other courses that were running on this date was my adult basic life support that I just created plus the sessional courses. So they won't show up. But if you did need to create or add one, and I typically always tend to do this if it comes to recess officer activities, because I had maybe like a separate clinical emergency simulation, or I added the recess committee separate. Something like a recess committee, I know they're two separate templates, But because that activity is standard and it doesn't change across the board, I'm okay to have those as a head session because it doesn't affect my equipment. And that's the main reason. It's also our standard governance activity that we're going to run each quarter. So I'm going to close this because I can't take a course that I can't attach a course that's already created in the system. I want to make a brand new one. So I'm going to click on the same item that I was where it showed me all the courses that are already booked. But now I'm going to go to add. And this is where I'm going to find a brand new course. So I could go to here, select. You can always just type in adult basic life support, but just so you see my course templates are all coming up because these are fresh ones that aren't made in the system. So I'm going to say, okay, this is what you need to be mindful of. That's today's date. It's not the date of the course that we want to put in. So we need to be very mindful about how that happens. If you go into the 14th, then we're going to change this back and we're going to make it into the course that we had deleted. Now, it doesn't know my timings of a course because it's going off of like a completely blank slate right now. So I'm going to need to manually put those in. All of this is the same. It's not going to pull this through because I've already created the head session. So you're going to need to manually put in your trainer, manually put in your venue. We can put this at 0 and we can hit save. And we're going to hit save again. And then we can see it back here. Back at 3.